Welcome to this week's advertising and promotion video. This is Sean Canary, and we'll be talking about creative strategy, the planning and development of your advertising and promotional campaigns. Just to remind you this week, what is due is the Chapter 8 assignment for the quiz, as well as the assignment on effective taglines, which we'll be talking about in this class. So the tagline assignment is we're going to talk about effective taglines and what makes them effective. And then I want you to identify a tagline using criteria established by Steve Cohen in the book and tell the class about it in the discussion panel below. Pretty simple. So let's jump right into it. So creativity in advertising is very important, and strategy helps us determine what we're going to say and how we're going to be creative. Now, being creative is sometimes a curse as much as it is a blessing. Sometimes with creativity, we tend to go off on tangents, or we tend to overthink things and miss things in our strategy. So really, it's a balance between strategy and tactics. And really, creativity really flows from that. And when you're creating your advertisement, you really have to take certain tactics and think and plan things through. So when we talk about creating a promotion or an advertisement, all right, it's different to each and every person. Everybody has certain perspectives on advertising creativity. The manager's perspective may be different than the creative staff's perspective. In the manager's perspective, advertising is only creative if it sells the product, if you get numbers and if you get actual results with your advertising. Ads are just tools to communicate favorable impressions to the marketplace and make people buy. This is the manager's perspective. When you're dealing with C-suite, when you're dealing with VPs, this is what they think about, right? Now, when you're dealing with specifically with the creative folks that are creating the advertisement, it's artwork. Creativity of an ad is an artistic value, and it's a symbol of originality. It's a piece of art. For instance, I work for an ad agency, and the ads that I create are not only supposedly for positioning products, but some of them are actual artistic pieces of work, in my opinion. Ads are also communication vehicles for promoting their own aesthetic viewpoints and their personal career objectives. Me, just like everybody else in the ad agency, we have a portfolio of the ads that we consider pieces of work. It's almost like a Monet in a museum. We have portfolios, and we consider it our own personal aesthetic viewpoint and a demonstration of our ability. Now, the determinants of creativity, what makes creativity? Advertising creativity is the ability to create fresh, unique, and appropriate ideas that can be used as solutions to communicate problems. Because remember, marketing is most effective, advertising is most effective if we're addressing our consumers' needs and wants, right? The marketing process begins with our consumers having a need or want. And advertising creativity is our fresh perspective on how we address that. So, determinants of creativity continue. Divergence, right? The extent of which an ad contains elements that are novel, different, or unusual, right? We can achieve divergence through originality, flexibilities, elaboration, synthesis, and artistic value. Have we ever seen these commercials where it's so fun to drive this car because it's a convertible that we're driving it in the winter, and we have masks on our face, toboggan masks, so we don't get frostbite, right? It's something different. It's something unique. It's if you're flipping through the TV channel, it's thumb stopping. It's original. It's elaborate. It has an artistic value. Look at the backdrop of the mountains. This is divergence. Relevance. Now this is important because a lot of times advertisers lose this. Relevance is the degree to which the elements of an ad are meaningful, useful, or valuable to the consumer. It's how the consumer feels about this ad. It's how relevant it is to them. So we have to be careful here. Sometimes we get creative and artistic, and sometimes when we show our ads to people, they just don't identify with it because it's not relevant to their life. It's not relevant to their problem or need. So we have to be very careful with this. In your book, we talk about Darcy's, Benton and Bowles' universal advertising standards. These are questions you can ask yourself to help make you realize if your ad's going to be effective or not. Is the position of the product simple? Is it clear? Does the advertising bolt the brand to a benefit? Does it contain an idea? Does it have personality? Is it unexpected? Is it single-minded? Does the advertising reward the prospect? Is it visually arresting? Is it visually appealing? Does the advertising exhibit painstaking craftsmanship? If the answer to these questions are yes, your ad probably will be very effective. So the creative challenge. Every marketing situation is different, and each campaign or advertisement requires a different creative approach. It's essential for creating breakthrough advertising that you take risks. It doesn't have to happen all the time. Ads can be very effective without creating risks, but some of the most effective advertisements in the world take risks. So it's a balance between taking risks and not. Hard said, there's always a debate going on. Creative versus hard sell advertising, right? Because you have rationalists that say advertising's got to sell that product or service. The management that says, listen, I don't care how creative it is. It's got to sell product or service or your ad isn't effective. And then we have the creative people that say we need to create an emotional bond between the viewer, the consumer, and your brand. So it's got to be creative. It's got to build an emotional bond, right? So who's right on this? Well, I can see ads going either way. Now it's important when we're planning for an account that we conduct research and gather relevant information about the client's product, service, and brand, and the consumers in the target audience. Because we can't build an ad. We can't build an ad without understanding the product itself. We can't build an ad without understanding who we're targeting as well. So it's important that we gather those. Some of the things that we can do to find background research: read everything related to the product or market, ask stakeholders involved with the product for information, listen to what people are talking about, particularly the client and others online. Social media is a great place to do this. For instance, if you're going to type in iPhone, right, iPhone 10 into Facebook or Twitter, you can see conversations about it. You can learn about that product, right? What people like about it, what people don't like about it. So you know what things to focus on in your advertisement. And then also learn about the client's business. What are the campaign objectives? What are the goals? What's the revenue that you're trying to hit? Inputs to the creative process: preparation, incubation, illumination. The general pre-planning input: gather and organize information on the product, market, and competition. Analyze the trends, developments, and the happenings in the marketplace. Now, it's important that we also gather product information. And again, it's important that we take a look at the problems that the product solves. Can help us position our products in the ad. We can do this through psychographic studies, And then also branding research. Qualitative research helps us with focus groups, getting to know who the ideal target and audience is, and who the creatives need to write, design, or direct to. Who are these people? Criticisms testing can weaken a creative execution. Strong personalities can wield undue influence, and participants may not admit or recognize their own behavior patterns and motivations. This is a real problem. A lot of times when you're dealing with consumers in a focus group, they go with the flock, right? Somebody established themselves as a dominant person in that group, and everybody tends to agree. Think about you and your friends. When you're hanging out with your friends, isn't there one person that is the dominant person saying, hey, let's go here, or let's do this, right? Same thing with focus groups. So it's important to keep that in mind. And it's important to evaluate all ideas, reject the inappropriate, refine the remaining, and give ideas a final expression, right? Some of the ideas to creating the ads, one of my favorite things to do is to storyboard out a proposed commercial layout. Even if it's a digital ad, I storyboard out the idea. And this is basically making a cartoon, a comic book type of layout that explains to the person in visual and written elements what the ad says and does. And it's really important to get buy-in before you go ahead and create this, then create this and get feedback from consumers and gain insights to their reactions. Advertising campaigns, they're a set of interrelated, coordinated marketing communication activities that center on a single theme or idea. It's a series of different ads across different media channels for a certain time period. Now, there's always this campaign theme. These are the essential messages communicated in all the advertising and promotional elements. And these are expressed through a slogan or a tagline, all right? Now, it's very important that you understand the difference between a tagline and a slogan. A tagline, which is our homework assignment, is a summation line that briefly expresses the company brand or brand's positioning and the message it is trying to deliver with the target audience. Now, a slogan is different. It's a summation line, but it briefly expresses the company or brand's positioning for a particular product or service. So a slogan is almost a subset of a tagline. What do I mean by that? Well, Nike gives us a good example. The tagline for Nike, of course, is world renowned. Just do it, right? Everybody knows that. Nike, just do it, right? However, Nike has many, many different slogans within its own department. Men's football, for instance, has a fashion line where they design all the NFL logo, NFL jerseys and shoes and stuff like that. And their NFL accessories line, their NFL jersey line, their slogan is "Who You With," right? They're trying to sell you your team's official colors and jerseys and shoes, and their slogan is "Who You With." So you can see the difference between a tagline and a slogan. And your homework assignment is to pick an effective tagline. And in this chapter, you'll read all the different elements that make up an effective tagline. And I want you to discuss that in your assignment. So again, some of the different taglines that we see out there, of course, is Nike, just do it. Under Armour, we must protect this house, I will. And Red Bull gives you wings. I can think of a million other taglines. For instance, Home Depot's tagline for a couple years was "Never Stop Improving." Very effective. It describes the brand and the mission and the vision of the brand as far as advertising is concerned. Now, the last thing we'll discuss is the creative brief when it comes to advertising. And usually the creative brief is an outline of your advertising campaign, right? It goes over the basic problem or issue which the advertising must address. Talks about the advertising and communication objectives. Okay, if there's a sales objective, if there's a communications objective, it discusses this. It tells who your target audience is. Discusses the major selling idea or the key benefits, the unique selling proposition to communicate. And then it also talks the strategy statement, the creative strategy statement, the theme, the appeal, and the execution technique to be used. The different types of channels they're going to use. And then we have the supporting information and requirements. And then the schedule. When are we going to run these ads? When is this campaign going to be in effect? Again, these are all important items that we must outline for creative and for our managers. So again, this week, and this is chapter 8, again this week what we're going to require you to do is finish up chapter 8 and take the quiz in the McGraw-Hill Campus Connect account. Then fill out the effective taglines homework assignment. All this is due on Tuesday.